Security breaches at Faslane have soared from 16 incidents being recorded in 2021 to 149 last year. That's according to data uncovered by Freedom of Information requests. They've come at the home of the Vanguard fleet, which houses 4 submarines that can be armed with nuclear-enabled Trident missiles. The UK has become the main target for Russian hybrid warfare campaigns. That's according to military experts. And the chair of the Defence Select Committee, Tandesi MP, agreed while highlighting the evolving threats faced at British bases.
Also, with regards to Russia, we've seen their recent activity with regards to the Baltic Sea and in and around the UK waters, with spy ships actually surveying our UK waters. And we've also seen those attacks on undersea cables. So we need to make sure that our critical infrastructure, which, by the way, is critical to our way of life here in Britain, that we pay due attention to that. With regards to Faslane, by the way, the House of Commons Defence Committee was actually in Faslane recently at the His Majesty's Naval Base Clyde, which, of course, is an extremely important national institution for our country's defence. And we did discuss about security breaches and so forth. So there is that concern, but once we have such stats, that of course means that the government, and particularly the Ministry of Defence, must concentrate on this particular issue.
A Ministry of Defence spokesperson previously said its security procedures are reviewed and updated on a regular basis to improve effectiveness. The latest batch of security incidents coincides with similar breaches at the nearby Royal Navy Armaments Depot at Coalport, which acts as a storage and maintenance facility for Trident nuclear warheads. The numbers have risen from just 2 in 2018 there to 19 at the base last year.
This is extremely concerning, and some of us have been warning about the increased hybrid threats. In fact, the Defence Committee undertook an inquiry, Defence in the Grey Zone, which actually highlighted how we faced increased propensity and scale of attacks, especially those things happening beneath the threshold, whether it's in the cyber domain, whether it's in terms of extra drones. And we've seen that play out. And while I don't understand the full context of the stats, because some of the security breaches could be perhaps relating to minor breaches, or it could be about personal equipment, as in PEDs, our devices being compromised, and so on. But overall, the pattern is quite clear.
The former head of the British Army, General Sir Patrick Sanders, feels it's more evidence of the hybrid warfare threat facing Britain. Sir Sanders said, "One thing you can be absolutely certain of is that we look at the threat that Russia poses to Europe, that hybrid threat, that sub-threshold threat, whether it's around attacks on critical national infrastructure, on undersea cables, cyber attacks, assassinations, that full range. We're going to experience that at a much greater scale and intensity than we have. We also need to tie those hybrid threats to the potential for above-threshold attacks as well. So it's not merely enough to strengthen our national resilience, that's an important thing to do, but we've also got to deter Russia from acting opportunistically. We've also got to deter Russia from these sort of objectives that Putin has been very clear about, restoring greater historic Russia. That's the reason why the Finns, the Estonians, the Lithuanians and the Latvians feel that their territory is under threat, and restoring both conventional but also unconventional deterrence, that sort of resilience, is really important. Meanwhile, Christopher Steele, who headed MI6 Russia desk, warned that the Russians are heavily stepping up their attacks on UK infrastructure. Mr. Steele said, "Russia regards itself as in a state of war now, with not just Ukraine, but also Ukraine's main allies in Europe, including the UK. In fact, our intelligence suggests that Moscow now regards the UK as its main foreign adversary, rather than the US, since Trump came back to office. So there's bound to be a focus on our key strategic capabilities, and one of those is, of course, our submarines based at Faslane, which provide our only nuclear deterrent at a strategic level. In order to effectively manipulate, frighten, disrupt our society and our economy, what they will do is precisely the sort of thing you're talking about. It's sabotage, arson, assassination, and so on around Europe, including in the UK at a level just below what would be the threshold for declaring war from our point of view and for a population's point of view. But they're nevertheless aimed at dividing and weakening both our society, our capabilities military and economically, and our alliances. We are in a sort of shadow war effectively with Russia, where Russia is carrying out certain types of operations on the UK soil and other places in Europe, and we are not carrying out such operations, as far as I'm aware of and can believe, on Russian soil. But I think that will continue into the future, as Britain is seen particularly as the strongest foreign ally of Ukraine and a sort of rallying cry for other Western European countries to keep them in line in supporting Ukraine through its crisis, particularly economically. The MOD wouldn't reveal details of each security breach, but states they refer to, but are not limited to, incidents of minor breaches, misaccounted documentation, lost ID cards, and breaches of personal electronic device zones and general data protection regulation. Former senior British Army intelligence officer Philip Ingram MB said the findings underscore the need to rapidly improve defence funding and security training. He said, "The thing that concerns me is the trend of breaches going up." Now that can be down to two things. One, people are being more diligent in reporting incidents, but it's actually an indication that there's likely to be more incidents. We are seeing alongside this reports of a lack of investment in our nuclear deterrent capability and our armed forces. Put all of that together and it's a very worrying trend, and not just Russia, China as well. They're trying to get access to our nuclear secrets. The trend is worrying, and it's a reflection on A, the level of control that is on our classified material, and B, the level of training and oversight that there is in individuals, both military and civilian, who are involved in all of this. And it's something that needs to be nipped in the bud quickly, because it'll only get worse. We asked the Ministry of Defence for an updated comment.